another thing that happens in this reality usually is that there is a high level of desensitization. Like, for example, just coming here in nature and seeing all these garbages like this, you see? Most people, if they would come here, they would, let's say some of them, for sure, wouldn't find this pleasing at all. And they would say something like, oh, look at these humans that have been leaving these garbages here in nature. They would be upset, for sure. But then they would just move on, you know. And then it would happen like this one time, then another day, they would go somewhere else. They would see some other garbages again, and they would get upset again, and then it would happen again, the third time. They would go on a mountain trail or somewhere. They would see garbages in the mountains then, and then they would get upset again. But then with each time, as this is going to continue to be repeated, their ability to stand up and feel this contempt, feel upset when they see, for example, in this case, garbages, this ability, it will just lower with each repeated sight, because as they would start to see the garbages more and more in more and more places, after some time, the garbages themselves would start to appear part of the new normal, you know? They will just become the new normal. And even though this is pleasing for sure, many of us, once a thing enters into what is deemed as normality, many of us, we stop questioning it, or we stop fighting it, or we stop doing anything about it, because it's just what the new normal is. But that new normal starts slowly being a more and more awful normal than the previous one. So this is how reality, the entire reality that we are in, starts being more and more unnatural and more abnormal, while we become more and more desensitized towards the abnormality, towards the unnaturality. And this is where I wanted to get with this recording here. It is that by introducing a poison, drop by drop, bit by bit, it slowly starts becoming assimilated in the system. And then after some time, the system becomes so pervaded with this poison that the poison becomes what is considered to be the normal state of homeostasis. So if you introduce an abnormal state or an abnormal condition or an abnormal behavior or attitude or thinking or idea or concept or ideology or action, bit by bit, then slowly our senses become adjusted gradually to the abnormality. And the abnormality and the unnaturality becomes our new state of homeostasis. And our true senses of knowing what is good from what is bad become desensitized. We become desensitized to evil. We become desensitized to this. Look. We stop questioning why are these garbages here. It's just the new normal, you know. Just, oh yeah, it's so displeasing. But yeah, this is what people do. They come, they throw the garbages in some of these portions. Yeah, it's awful. It looks awful, but yeah, people do that, you know. And you move on, you know. You don't do nothing because this is the new normal now. It's like you don't like it. You don't have to like the new normal, but still it has penetrated your perception, and now you kind of deem it to be part of your new normality. And this is a danger. This is a really dangerous thing when it happens. When we stop, let's say, doing anything about the unjustices and injustices around us, when we stop doing what's right because we became overwhelmed with what's wrong. So the idea here is to never ever allow yourself to be defeated in doing what's right. Independent if this entire world is a world of shit, let's say, of destruction, of malice, of violence, of nonsense. We should constantly continue to point out the malice, the nonsense, and we should constantly continue to do what's right. Independent if the entire world is going in the wrong direction, we should continue to do what's right and go and choose the other way and go into the right direction. We should never allow ourselves. Look at the bugs meeting in the spring. Hey! Oh, they are mating and I am intruding right now. I'm really filming them in their intimate moments. All right, let's move on. We should never allow our senses to become so desensitized that our new homeostasis is a state of destruction, violence, nonsense. We should always, even if we are, let's say, living under such conditions, we should always remember this is unnatural. We should always know this. We should never ever confuse the unnaturality for the naturality. We should never ever think like, oh yeah, but this is just how it is, you know. Yeah, people throw plastic bottles in nature. Just how it is. I'll just learn how to cope with it. Never learn how to cope with evil. Never learn how to cope with unnaturality. Always do what's right. Even if it might seem like your tiny action has no power to change anything. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this thing being said to me, like, oh, what power do you have, you know? Oh, even if you do that thing, for what good, you know? What will this singular action here change? Or what power does it hold to change anything? Oh, what power do you have, you know? But something in me just didn't allow me to stop doing what's right. Even if nothing shows me, perhaps, in a direct way, that my action has any power to change anything, I still choose to do what's right. And this is what I feel to recommend to anybody, to just continue doing what's right. Because my feeling is that at some point, these tiny invisible actions will be the great ones. Just doing one single tiny right action when nobody else would do it might at some point become a monumental achievement, when we will see things as they are and everything is going to be revealed. I'm far from saying I know what's going to come, or if this is going to happen this way. I'm just saying that I have a feeling that all these tiny actions, invisible right actions, are the big ones. And even though nothing in this world is here to show us that our tiny right action matters, it might matter, this tiny right action, more than anything.